Like it or not, Apple TV Plus is part of the geek culture and the geek space. And the reason I believe this is Apple is putting out some good TV shows. They really are. Not all of them are great. So I'm not going to sit here and sing the praises of these shows with no criticism. I'm not saying they're the greatest shows you've ever seen, but Apple TV Plus really is making a huge push into the geek space with a lot of sci-fi, and I think they're doing a good job. If you've not watched Silo, it's really good. Really good. I just watched the first season. That was good. Foundation was good. For All Mankind was good. Now, some of these shows have some questionable moral themes. That matters to me if it matters to you as well. So just be warned. And approach what I say with a grain of salt. You may not necessarily enjoy the things that I enjoy, but I think Apple is doing a good job of putting out some good series. See, it's one of those good series. It's just good. It's enjoyable. Some of their series are based on different writing, if I'm not mistaken, different books. I'm not necessarily familiar with some of these works, but look, the shows they're putting out are good. Now, Apple is venturing into a new space, and I believe I talked about this before, and I think this may really do some damage. The reason I think Apple has the potential to do major damage is Apple has a working budget that many of these other companies just don't have. Apple has loads of cash. And I've heard and even read somewhere that Apple plans on having their shows or some of their movies actually have theatrical releases. That's huge. Let's get into this article from Bounding into Comics, written by J.B. Augustine. Apple TV Monsterverse series may tie closer to Gareth Edwards' Godzilla than first thought. The Monsterverse is growing and probably hasn't even begun to peak. The surprisingly underpromoted Skull Island anime starring Kong debuted on Netflix last month. And aside from next film installment, Godzilla Kong, The New Empire, another series is on the way reportedly featuring Godzilla. The Apple TV Plus series is one we know very little about. That Skull Island cartoon on Netflix wasn't bad. I watched it. I don't know if it was last weekend or the weekend before last, and I will say that I actually enjoyed watching it. I didn't think it was bad at all. Nothing. How can I put it? If you don't watch it, I'm not gonna say you're missing out on something groundbreaking. But if you do go to watch it, I don't think you're gonna be disappointed. I think you will enjoy it. The storyline was actually good. Other than the fact it stars father and son Kurt and Wyatt Russell as agents of Monarch potentially, and that show delves deeper into the organization's past. The plot title and other key details are mysteries. However, the tide of secrecy is turning in a tiny bit through new spoiler-free information arising from social media. Excuse my terrible reading. Film journal KDM Monsters on Twitter, is sharing some of what they know, but carefully so as not to ruin the anticipation. That isn't to say their followers don't want to know the nitty-gritty. Quite the opposite. In fact, KDM has standards that are made clear in the post below, pleading for understanding from fans. Guys, seriously, stop sending messages. I don't won't, spoil monsters. huge plot parts, or other info I have. Drop some hints here and there, sure. That's all. I'm not a leaker. Don't expect any leaks here. Please accept that. Thanks, and thanks for supporting KDM. The account tweeted back in February. To this day, they keep playing safe. That's good. Look, I understand, especially if you enjoy a series and you have some inside info. I think it's kind of messed up sometime to give certain leaks, because you do in some ways ruin that anticipation. We live in a time of leaks. Things are leaked everywhere. And I will say, me personally, I don't mind leaks. It doesn't ruin an experience for me, but I can definitely see how leaks can tamper the anticipation in whatever said IP is. Okay, they go on to say, in more recent posts, we are treated to several heads ups regarding expectations for the Monarch series. KDM notes, we will see new and old titans and monsters, which offers further hints that Godzilla and maybe a few other Toho Kaiju will figure into things. The scoop then mentions another important timeline, which could mean anything. Let me also say, I actually really do like Kurt Russell. So the fact that him and his son are gonna be in this series, I meant to mention that when it was stated in this article. Yo, I think he's a dope actor, and I think this might turn out good for Apple TV Plus. Yo, they've been knocking it out the park, as I said. As I watch some of these Apple TV series, I'm often not shocked per se, because like I said, Apple has a big budget. I'm shocked at the quality that is put into these shows. I'm shocked at the level of detail given to some of these shows. It works out, and it works out very well. It seems like Apple has figured something out that other companies haven't yet figured out. Now, look, I try to keep this podcast positive. I try not to do too much negative talk. I'll talk about things I don't like, but I try to do it in a respectful manner. Look, there are a lot of companies that have focused on things that most geeks don't care about. Some people call it woke, people call it other things. Yo, surprisingly, you would think this would be something that Apple would have joined the rest of the world in. And look, maybe I'm missing it. Maybe I'm biased and maybe I'm missing it, but I really haven't seen like wokeness permeated through every part of Apple TV Plus shows. Is there some in there? Absolutely there is. I'm not going to lie to you and say it's not there, but it's not really permeated the shows and taken over, in my humble opinion. Okay, whatever it is, the new timeline comes with extra places, also old and new. The author says viewers shall be reacquainted with a new place never talked about before in the films, and another important, well-known place, and the possibilities of what this could mean are endless. There might be a deep cut treat for long-time G fans lying in wait. I think Apple has figured out how to entertain fans, and maybe, I'm not going to sing the praises of this series without seeing it, but maybe they have figured that fan service is a thing that is needed. A lot of these companies, I don't know what has gotten into their head. Maybe they've forgotten that fans are actually what make some of these different entities thrive. And really, you can't make it without the fans. Once the fans stop purchasing your product, there's only so far you're going to get. Now, you may survive and thrive just off your name alone, but I think that's only going to get you so far. I think comic book companies are figuring this out. They can only survive so far on name recognition, and at some point, they're going to have to pay up and actually give fans something they want. let's see where I left off. We don't know, and we're only tapping the tip of the iceberg. Added to the list of surprises is a great cameo by one of the MV's human cast members, which again ushers in numerous possibilities. This includes most of the characters appearing in the first three MV films. I guess that stands for Monsterverse. We'll all expect one, and he's not even dead. Yo, I am definitely excited to see what the Monsterverse brings to Apple TV Plus. It may be something great, but again, I'm not gonna hold my breath. I don't know exactly what Apple TV Plus is gonna do with the Monsterverse. It appears like they want to do right by the Monsterverse, and if so, this could turn out good. I would have never thought, I'll be honest with you, I would have thought out of all companies that would have had the worst showing of TV shows, especially sci-fi TV shows, I would have thought it'd be Apple TV Plus. And part of my reason for that is I didn't think they would focus as heavily on different, facets of sci-fi, but they really do seem to be delving into the sci-fi and fantasy with some original shows and shows based on, different books that I just didn't expect to be turned into TV shows, and yet they're doing it. And I think they're doing a good job. Now, other people are gonna vary with what they think about Apple TV Plus. Some people are just not gonna like it at all, to which I understand. But I think this Monsterverse thing pretty big.